I went into Temirana expecting a cute fantasy romance with pretty boys and lighthearted vibes. And for the first hour, that's exactly what it felt like. But then this game suddenly hit me with political drama, emotional backstories, found family moments, and roots that caught me off guard. And by the end, I was completely attached to these characters. So, if you've been curious about Temirana, but don't know if it's worth your time, let's talk about why this Otome surprised me way more than I expected. Before we jump in though, huge thank you to the publishers for providing me with a review key for this video. As always, all thoughts here are completely my own, and I'll be sharing both the things I loved and the parts that didn't fully work for me. I'll also be showing a few clips from the game's official materials throughout the video, so there will be some minor spoilers for early story setup and character details. The story takes place in the kingdom of Temirana, where people believe luck basically controls their lives. Your social status, occupation, and even your future are heavily shaped by the month you were born in, which creates a pretty strict class system across the kingdom. On top of that, there's also this looming calamity that threatens the country every few generations. You play as Cecilia, the third princess of Temirana, who's been treated like a curse ever since birth because of a mark on her forehead. Instead of growing up with her family in the castle, she's isolated far away from everyone and spends most of her life trying not to cause trouble for other people. But right before her 16th birthday, Cecilia discovers that she has a strange ability where certain people or places glow whenever danger is nearby. During a dueling tournament, she suddenly sees 5 men shining with this mysterious light, and instead of believing they're dangerous, she feels drawn to them. So, she decides to recruit all 5 into her personal night order before the coming tragedy reaches the kingdom. And that setup alone already hooked me because it feels like this mix of fantasy romance, mystery, found family, and political drama all at once. Now let's talk about the love interests, because this cast genuinely carried the game for me. First, we have Josephie. He's the prince of a conquered kingdom, so there's already a lot of emotional baggage and pressure surrounding him from the start. He is voiced by Makoto Furukawa, known for his work as Alan from Cupid Parasite, Yoritomo from Birushana, and Hokuto from Him, The Smile and Bloom. Personality-wise, he comes across confident and playful, but there's this emotional loneliness underneath everything that slowly shows itself as you get deeper into his route. His chemistry with Cecilia felt natural to me, and their relationship has a lot of soft yearning energy that made some of the romantic moments hit hard. Adele is probably the warmest and most grounded out of the group. He comes from a farming family and cares deeply about protecting the people around him. He is voiced by Sho Karino, known for his work as Ichise from Tengoku Struggle, and Elliot from The Villainess is adored by the prince of the neighbor kingdom. Compared to some of the more dramatic personalities, Adele feels comforting in a very genuine way. He's dependable, kind, and gives off that safe place energy throughout a lot of the story. Tobias was such a pleasant surprise for me because he brings a lot of charm and humor into the group dynamic. He is voiced by Yusuke Kobayashi, known for his work as Hira from Dairoku, Jiho from Neon Clash, and Tomonari from Winter's Wish. He's a noble who's physically weaker and more sickly than the others, but he's also imaginative, earnest, and surprisingly lovable once you spend more time with him. A lot of his scenes balance comedy with emotional vulnerability really well. Then there's Milan, the blacksmith of the group. He's more quiet and antisocial at first, but he also has this unexpectedly cute side, especially when sweets are involved. He is voiced by Shuhei Sakaguchi, known for his work as Mest from Fairy Tail and Virgil from Ember Storia. His route leans more emotional over time, and I really liked watching him slowly lower his walls around Cecilia. And then there's Kia, who honestly ended up having one of the most emotionally memorable routes for me. He's an orphan who struggles with memory loss, and because of that, there's this sadness surrounding his character from the beginning. He is voiced by Kazutomi Yamamoto, known for his work as Sora from Ensemble Stars, and Dahlia from Genshin Impact. Despite everything, he still has this gentle and caring personality that makes you want to protect him immediately. His route ended up hitting me way harder emotionally than I expected. There's also a secret route that unlocks later, and while I obviously won't spoil who it is, I will say it adds a lot to the overarching story and really changes how you view certain parts of the game. He is voiced by Ryohei Kimura, known for his work as Shiraishi from Color Malice, Nicola from Pio Fiore, and Gil from Cupid Parasite. I do wish there were a few more romantic moments in it, but as a finale, it absolutely feels worth unlocking. At the center of everything is Cecilia, our heroine, and I ended up liking her a lot more than I expected. She starts off isolated and treated badly because people believe she's cursed, but she never becomes cold or cruel because of it. She's thoughtful, determined, and really easy to root for. What I appreciated most is that she actually feels involved in the story. She's not just standing around waiting for the love interest to save her. A lot of the routes work because Cecilia actively pushes people forward and tries to make things better for the people around her, and I love her for it. I also want to quickly mention the side characters because they genuinely add so much personality to the story. I find Benetti to be such a fun companion character, and even some of the more over-the-top antagonists ended up being entertaining in their own dramatic way. The game does a good job making the world feel populated by characters who aren't just there for the sake of having a bigger world, but who I think actually matter. By the end, it genuinely felt like I wasn't just attached to one love interest, I was attached to this entire little community Cecilia builds around herself. And I think that's a huge part of why their story stayed with me after I finished playing. And if you enjoy cozy narrative game discussions like this, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I talk about Otome and story-rich games that are worth your time, especially the hidden ones people don't talk about enough. Visually, I think the game is fairly cute, weird posing and shadowing aside. The fantasy aesthetic feels colorful and dreamy, and the character designs are really memorable. Some of the CGs even gave me this nostalgic older Otome vibe in the best possible way. And did I mention the background is animated? Yeah, it's the small details. The voice acting also does a fantastic job carrying the emotional scenes. The cast really sells both the lighter comedy moments and the heavier dramatic scenes. And the soundtrack does a lot of work too. There's this warm fantasy atmosphere throughout the game that made it really easy for me to sink into the world for hours at a time. I really appreciate the found family themes throughout the game. Watching this group slowly grow closer, them training together, teasing each other, and supporting each other through difficult moments became one of my favorite parts of the experience. It gives the story this really comforting emotional core, even when the plot starts getting darker. And trust me, this game does get darker than the marketing initially makes it seem. There are routes that deal with grief, pressure, class divisions, survival, and some surprisingly emotional twists. But the game never feels hopeless or overly edgy. It still keeps that warmth underneath everything, which honestly made me even more attached to the cast. Now, in terms of romance, I'd say Temirana is definitely more of a slow burn Otome. If you're looking for something super spicy or heavily focused on non-stop romance scenes, this probably won't fully scratch that itch. The story and world building take center stage most of the time. But when the romantic moments do happen, they feel earned. There are some genuinely sweet confessions, tender interactions, and emotional payoff moments that made me smile way too much. So, who do I think Temirana is for? If you love fantasy Otome games with strong world building, found family dynamics, emotional storytelling, and lovable characters that you slowly grow attached to, I think there's a really good chance you'll enjoy this. Especially if you like story-heavy romance where the relationships develop naturally over time. And if you're coming from games like Love and Deep Space, and want something that still gives you emotional character moments with more traditional fantasy visual novel storytelling, Temirana feels like a really nice game to sink into. It completely caught me off guard in the best way possible. And by the end, I didn't just care about the romance, I cared about the entire little family this game built. And if Temirana has caught your interest, and you're wondering what other Otome games are worth keeping an eye on this 2026, the next video is perfect for you. I'll see you there!